Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're embarking on a really fascinating journey into India's population dynamics. I mean, we always hear these massive numbers thrown around, over 1 billion people, but what does that actually mean for everyday reality? Well, today, we're going to unpack the population equation. We'll look at the immense pressures of rapid growth, the actionable solutions we can take, and, perhaps most importantly, the incredible hidden potential just waiting to be unlocked. Spoiler alert, it is about a whole lot more than just running out of elbow room.
Okay, let's dive right into this. We often talk about a population explosion as this kind of abstract demographic concept, right? But looking at a heavily overcrowded Jeep from 2011 perfectly captures the physical, everyday reality of it. When a population truly explodes, it's not just some line on a graph ticking upward. It's people literally fighting for space, for resources, and for a chance to just move forward. This single image really anchors everything we're about to explore today.
So here's our quick roadmap for today's explainer. 1. The population explosion. 2. The ripple effects of overpopulation. 3. Economic measures. 4. Social measures. And finally, number 5, the demographic dividend.
Let's start with part 1, the population explosion.
A population explosion basically happens when growth vastly outpaces economic development. This usually kicks in when historically high birth rates collide with rapidly falling death rates, thanks of course to better medical care. It breaks a really critical balance. Think of it like this. Underpopulation means natural resources actually exceed the number of people. There's more than enough to go around. But overpopulation, that is the terrifying tipping point where sheer human numbers drastically exceed the natural resources available. The scale tips and that vital balance is just broken.
Moving on to part 2, the ripple effects of overpopulation. When growth exceeds resources, the physical ripple effects are, well, they're immense. We're talking increased pressure on land and agriculture. There simply isn't enough arable soil to keep up. And this immediately translates to pressure on infrastructure and basic amenities. Hospitals, schools, transport systems, they get entirely overwhelmed. Most critically, you get this massive imbalance between the demand for food and the supply of food, which directly triggers widespread environmental problems and severe social problems. It's the stark difference between a thriving community and a desperate daily scramble for basic survival.
And what exactly happens when soaring food demand collides with limited supply? You guessed it, inflation. Those physical pressures we just talked about directly hit the wallets of everyday citizens. Too many people chasing too few resources means the cost of basic survival naturally skyrockets. It's simple math, really, but it has brutal real-world consequences for the average family just trying to put dinner on the table.
Ultimately, this whole snowball effect results in low national income, which is the ultimate macroeconomic gut punch. See, even if a nation generates more wealth, rapid population growth just dilutes it. The economic pie might be getting slightly larger, sure, but it's being sliced into millions of extra pieces, leaving the per capita share dangerously small. The sheer weight of the population burden basically holds the entire economy back. So facing all of these immense structural and economic pressures, we are left with a pretty massive question. How do we actually check this population explosion? How do we fix that broken balance? Well, it's time to pivot from the doom and gloom of the problem to actionable public policy.
Which brings us to part 3, economic measures. History actually shows us a really clear pattern here. When you raise the standard of living, population growth naturally slows down. And the roadmap for this requires 4 critical economic measures. First, the expansion of the industrial sector. This modernizes the economy away from heavy agriculture, where historically large families are seen as free manual labor. Second, the creation of employment opportunities provides crucial income alternatives. Third, the direct removal of poverty elevates basic living standards. And fourth, the equitable distribution of income and wealth ensures everyone has fair access to resources. Put simply, fixing the economy directly helps fix the population growth rate.
Now for part 4, social measures.
But let's be real. Economics alone isn't a silver bullet, because population explosion is fundamentally a socio-economic problem. It's deeply tied to things like illiteracy, superstition, and orthodoxy. So the ultimate goal of effective social policy is creating a balanced, healthy family unit. Try to contrast a small, stable family unit in your mind with that heavily overcrowded Jeep we looked at earlier. That transition, it doesn't just happen by accident. It happens through targeted social reform.
And getting there requires 3 absolutely vital social measures. Number 1, the spread of education. because true awareness is what tears down blind faith and ignorance. Number 2, significantly improving the status of women, which historically drops birth rates almost immediately. And number 3, raising the minimum age of marriage. Make no mistake about it, folks. Empowering women and spreading education are the absolute ultimate tools for sustainable, long-term population control.
Finally, Part 5, the demographic dividend.
Okay, here is the dramatic plot twist, and it's a good one. If a country successfully applies those economic and social measures, a massive population actually stops being a liability. It transforms into a demographic dividend. This is this massive economic advantage that happens when the proportion of working-age people is extraordinarily high compared to dependents. If this population is healthy and educated, they are no longer a drain on resources. Instead, they become explosive human resources, transforming into a nation's absolute greatest competitive advantage on the global stage. It literally turns the entire problem completely upside down.
Which leaves us with one pretty profound question to wrap up today. Will we allow our growing numbers to remain an insurmountable burden, driving inflation and poverty, or will we step up and enact the socioeconomic reforms needed to unlock the ultimate human resource? Ultimately, the equation is in our hands. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and stay curious out there.